Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. On stage, we have Freddy the Bear, Chica the Chicken, and Bonnie the Bunny here to perform just for you. So sit back and enjoy the music while you chow down on our award-winning extra cheese pizza. And if you're feeling up for a voyage, sail on over to Pirate Cove, where Foxy the Fox will be your best matey. By remaining in your seats at this time, you do hereby agree that Fredbear's Pizzeria is not liable for any damage, bodily or otherwise, that may occur to your child during your stay. Enjoy at your own risk. Alright, so everyone put your hands together for Freddy as the Fazbear.
Happy Halloween. So this can be a video about my thoughts on the FNAF movie. As of recording this, I seen it last night as like a little preview thing. It was interesting. I really liked it though. I liked how it wasn't like super horror-esque. And that's probably because like most of the kids that are gonna watch this are under 13 and are gonna be easily scared. And I like how most of the jump scares are Balloon Boy, and it's like a little guy. I wish there were more FNAF 2 references though, I will say. But yeah, this is gonna be a video on my thoughts. Spoilers, obviously. So I'm just gonna do like a quick little recap of the movie. So I'm not even gonna touch on the first night guard because he's irrelevant. Like, we don't hear a single thing about him, so I'm just gonna count him out completely. So I don't really remember how Michael's story starts, but like the first thing we learn about him is that he's on sleeping medication, because he has like very vivid dreams about his younger brother, Garrett. I don't know why they changed the name. And like, why keep Michael, but like not keep Evan or Elizabeth? At that point, you just gotta do all of them. So he has vivid memories of his younger brother getting kidnapped, which, if you're versed in the lore, that's not his fate. In the lore of the games, Garrett, or Evan, gets like eaten by, well, not eaten, but eaten, by the original Freddy animatronic. I think it's called Fredbear. He's like yellow and stuff. I don't know why they changed it. But I guess that almost makes sense. It almost makes sense. Which is gonna happen a lot. And so we learn later that the reason why he's doing this is because he wants to know the man who kidnapped his brother. He's reading this book about dream theory, which I wonder is actually real. I hope it is, because that would be a good read. So like, he's taking sleeping medication, and he listens to like nature sounds, and he stares at a poster of Nebraska, which I think is where he's from. That's not where the game takes place, at least the first one. They take place in Ohio. Very funny. And so like, at the beginning, he originally works as like a security guard at like a mall. And he thinks he witnesses a kidnapping. And so he beats the supposed kidnapper up. And then he's going in, I guess he lost his job after that, because like, he beat the guy up. He beat him up. And apparently that was the kid's dad. So like, I guess he's getting a new job, because I guess he lost it. I don't really know, because the movie doesn't explain anything. So I guess he lost it. And so like, the job guy is like, Are you crazy? Are you insane? Like, he's cutting into him so ruthlessly. And so that's where we get, like, the idea that he's gonna work as a night guard for Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. I don't know why they didn't call it Fazbear's Entertainment, because that's what it's originally called. But it's probably for, like, I guess it's for people who, like, know surface level of the lore, instead of, like, me. But anyway, and so we get, so I don't know when this movie takes place, okay? Because, like, they describe Freddy's as, like, really popular in the 80s. So it can't be anywhere before the 80s. But it's, like, too underdeveloped to be, like, today. Or, like, even, like, the 90s and 2000s. Like, it's very, like, there's a lot of scenes with, like, the technology and the fashion in this film. And although Micheal dresses like how a lot of kids in my school dress today, but, like, there are a few scenes, with, like one of those, like, pickup phones. I don't know what those are called. And, like, they're so, like, clunky and, like, square. And so it looks like it's from, like, the 60s. But it was really popular in the 80s. That doesn't make sense. I wish they did a lot more explaining in this film. But they didn't, because Michael Scott worked on it. Or, Michael Scott. Scott Cawthon. I don't know where Michael Scott came from. Because Scott Cawthon worked on it, and he doesn't like explaining anything. So, anyway. So, he lives in what I assume is, like, a rental home. Because he talks to his presumed roommate, Jax. I assume she's his roommate, because they don't explain anything. That's not his sister. He has a sister named Abby. And, like, I don't think that's, like, his cousin, because, well, it might be, actually. But I want to know, because this movie doesn't explain anything. And so, little sister named Abby, who takes the role of Elizabeth, which I guess they did because it's like, oh, it's baby rearranged. That's what I guess. I gotta, like, think. Because he took control of Fredbear, I think. Or at least he died from Fredbear. But I don't know what animatronic he specifically possesses. I'll have to come back to that. I forgot to mention, Job Guy, like, he references the, night guard job, and he's like, I can't do nights. Because, I don't know. I guess because of his sleeping medication, actually. And, like, his aunt, who is, like, the worst person alive, I forgot her name. And so, like, she wants to take custody of Abby, because everybody knows that Micheal is not, like, equipped to take care of her. They don't say how old she is. I assume she's, like, 10? She might be younger than that, actually. But she's, like, 7 to 10. And so, like, Micheal is talking to, I guess, Abby's teacher or teacher adjacent, and she's like, yeah, a job would look really good in, like, custody court. And so he gets the job. And so he survives the first night by sleeping, first of all, which should be illegal. And so So he sleeps on the job, right? And so he has that like recurring dream of like that memory of Garrett being kidnapped. And so like when he goes through the first night at Freddy's, he goes to sleep, and when Garrett gets taken, he's like in the back seat of a car, right? And so like he's looking out the window. So he's looking out the window, and so when he's at Freddy's, he turns around and he sees the kids that are possessing the animatronics, because like that's kind of, it's haunted. We know this. I thought it was interesting that they took that route. I understand why they did it. And what's interesting is, like, he can talk to them all he wants. They're not gonna respond. But the second, like, he raises his voice, they all disperse. And I noticed that the first animatronic that he goes after is Freddy, and then Foxy. I don't remember if it was this night or the next one, but it might have been the next one, actually. But in one of the nights that he survives by sleeping, Foxy, like, gashes him up with his hook. And so, like, his first, it's like on this arm, I think? Actually, it might be this arm. I don't remember. And so, it might have been the first night, actually. I think I'm just dumb. And so he survives the first night. Stuff happens. I have the worst memory. And so next night, there's a police officer that, like, not necessarily rings the doorbell, but it's like the little buzzer thing. And so she comes in, she takes off her hood. It's Vanessa. Oh my god, it's Vanessa. Oh my god, I forgot to mention. So, actually, that's later. Never mind. It's Vanessa. Oh my god. She wasn't supposed to be here until security breach. So, she's a police officer. And so, she kind of, like, not necessarily helps, because she's really bad at it. But she, like, I guess gives advice to Micheal. She's like, yeah, I used to love this place when I was younger. So he survives the next night. Yay. And so Vanessa kind of like shows him the ropes. And so like she presses the Showtime button, which activates the animatronics. And like they all kind of like do their thing for a little bit, and then they malfunction, and then they stop. Oh, I forgot to mention. So they actually explain why the animatronics roam around at night, without like the excuse of like the spirits haunting the animatronics. So there's like technology in like their stuff that like allows them to interact with the children like lifelike. It was the 80s. It wasn't. Actually, it was the second night that he chases after Foxy in a stream, and he gets the gash on his arm. And so Vanessa, like, not heals him, but he, like, she patches him up. Stuff happens. I'm really bad at this, because, like, I really only remember the parts of the movie where they're actually at the pizzeria. So, the next day, Jax, this other guy who we know nothing about, we don't know his name, they're talking to Michael's aunt and her lawyer, and they're like, we need to find a way to get Abby out of his custody. So the guy, who I'm going to call Rich, he seems like a Rich, he doesn't seem rich though, so he's like, why don't we just trash the place, make his life horrible. And and you give us $2,000. And she's like, yeah, sure. So him and 2 other guys and Jax, they all go to Freddy's. And so, like, they trash up the place. Simply put, like, they break the arcade machines. They, like, rob the tokens and stuff. And either they turn on the animatronics or they've been on. And so, like, they all kind of, like, disperse. And so Chica gets a guy in the kitchen. Bonnie gets a guy in a supply closet. And, like, you kind of see his blood. Like, you don't see him. It's, like, implied that he died. But, like, you see, like, the bloody handprint. It's like, ooh, scary. And then Foxy gets the other guy. And then, the kid that represents Golden Freddy, I believe, which I don't know why they can see the spirits. Like, I understand why Michael would. And I understand why Vanessa would. But that comes later. I don't understand why just random people would. Anyway, and so Jax gets led into another supply closet that's like animatronic abundant, I guess. And Freddy's in there. And so obviously the kid's in there. And so like there's just like it's like really dramatic. And so like she gets a chair to like look in his mouth. And you know how this happens. You know how this happens. Everybody in the theater was like, oh no. And so, like, the kid's hand, like, comes up, not out of his mouth, but, like, you can see it, in front of, like, the endoskeleton. And so, chomp. That was, like, the most gruesome death. Because, like, you see her shadow, and you see, like, from, like, her waist down, like, come out. And then, like, you see her, like, her waist down, flop to the floor. Oh, I forgot to mention. So, the scene where, Jax, Rich, Michael's aunt, and Michael's aunt's lawyer, they're all at this, like, diner, and Pat is the waiter. Girl. There was, like, when we, in the theater, when we got, like, a good look at his face, everybody was like, yo! It was a magical experience. And so, but anyway. And then, like, later that night, Michael and Abby come, because there's nobody to take care of Abby. Because nobody wants Michael's aunt to take care of Abby. Not even Abby herself. She's like, she's mean, she smells like cigarettes. I love that part. And Michael doesn't want to leave her home alone. Because, obviously. Because she's a kid. And Jax is dead. We don't know that, but she's dead. And so he just takes her to work with him. So, like, she can sleep, he can work. Well, he can sleep too. But, like, he decides to, like, start to clean up the place. And, like, he does a fairly good job at it. And so he falls asleep at the desk. And then, like, while Abby's asleep, she hears, like, the other spirits of the kids, like, whispering her name. She gets up, and she can't wake up Michael. Like, he is dead, asleep. He's not really dead yet. And so, like, she's just like, I'll be back. And then she runs off to the bathroom, comes back, and, like, the animatronics are alive. And this is what I thought was interesting. So, she starts screaming, okay? So Michael hears this, he wakes up, he goes, finds her, and so, like, all the animatronics are, like, around Abby, and she's like, they're tickling me, they're telling me that I was gonna die. And so what I thought was interesting about that was, the animatronics are really fond of, like, Abby, okay? But they're not fond of Michael, and I guess they're indifferent on Vanessa. But, like, that kind of raises the question if that goes for, like, all of the characters, in a sense. Like, if all of the kids in all of the world, like, they would have the same experience as Abby. I think it's, like, a thing of, like, those are kids in there. They're gonna want to interact with other kids, right? And I guess that kind of excuses the, like, actual point of the game. They're kids. They don't know what they're doing. But so, like, the animatronics, like, really like Abby. I think, like, before, like, the big plot twist reveal, like, they, like, genuinely like Abby and, like, don't see her as, like, fresh blood, fresh meat. And so she's like, yeah, they, like, really respond to pictures. And I thought that was interesting, too. Because, like, how do I explain this? Like, in all, I don't want to say all the games, but in, like, most of the games where, like, you see, like, the hallways and stuff, there's, like, little drawings everywhere. And, of course, it's, like, adorable. And so, like, they know what that is. Which I guess kind of, like, goes in line with, like, the technology, I guess. I guess it's kind of like picture recognition, and that's not the word I'm looking for, but it's recognition. And so, like, she, like, draws him a little heart and gives it to Bonnie, and he's like, and so Michael is like, this is really weird. It's like, this is strange. This should not be happening. And Vanessa doesn't really explain it either, so I guess it's just up to interpretation. So, like, that's my theory. That's my film theory. Or game into film theory. But yeah, that's, like, the rest of the movie, pretty much, is, like, Abby interacting with the animatronics for the most part. Like, there's, like, multiple nights where, like, Vanessa, Michael, and Abby are there, and Abby's, like, hanging out with the animatronics, and Vanessa and Michael are there to, like, keep watch, I guess. And there's, like, this little scene where, like, they make this fort out of the, like, the tables and chairs, and I thought that was so cute. And, like, at that point in the movie, I was like, this isn't even scary, this is kind of fun. But it gets worse. And, like, there's not, like, a whole lot of jump scares. I mean, there is, but there isn't. Like, a lot of the scenes where, like, not really intend, but, like, you expect there to be a jump scare. Like, you just kind of see these shadows of the animatronics, and then it's kind of, like, left up to the imagination. I was, like, almost expecting, like, an actual, jump scare, like they did in the games. I think that would have been really cool. And so, there's a scene where Michael and Vanessa are talking, and, so they talk. And so he kind of explains, like, his whole situation. And Vanessa, like, throws his medication in the river. I guess because he doesn't need to be sleeping on the job, first of all. And second of all, that puts him in danger. But he paid for those. And Lord knows you don't have insurance with that home. So she's like, you don't need to be sleeping on the job. So, like, they kind of become friends. And then, like, later in the movie, he gets more medication. And so, like, it gets to the point where Vanessa's like, they want Abby. Like, they want her to become that. And Michael's obviously like, well, we can't have that. So he gets with his aunt. And I should mention that at some point Abby sees, like, the family court papers. And, like, that's how the thing came up where she's like, I don't want her to take care of me. So, like, sorry, I'm fixing my sleeve. But, so, I lost my train of thought. Where was I going? Oh yeah. So, like, Abby comes in the kitchen and she sees her aunt. She's like, I hate you. She runs back to her room, and I hate this part, like, emotionally, not from, like, a lore standpoint, but, like, I hate this part because she, like, scribbles out Michael on all her little drawings. Girl, that was too far. And so, like, Michael goes to pick up his medication, and then he goes to Freddy's for no reason. But he leaves Abby with his aunt. Michael goes to Freddy's. He takes the medication. He listens to his music. He looks at the poster of Nebraska. And so, in his dream, like, it's more vivid and more like a lucid dream than, like, ever before. So, instead of watching his little brother get kidnapped, he sees his mom, dad, and little brother at, like, a little picnic table, like the rest of the dreams. But they're all, like, sitting together and they're all, like, happy and eating. And so, he's like, this isn't how it's supposed to go. He turns around and there's the kids at the spirits, or there's the, you know what I mean? So the kid that represents Freddy is like, you don't really want to know who kidnapped your brother. You just want to save him. You just want him to be okay. And you can have that if you give us Abby. And initially he's like, yeah. And then, like, he kind of, like, strokes Garrett's face, and then he's like, wait, this isn't what I want. And before he can, like, get it out, he, like, stands up, turns around. It's just Forrest. He's like, wait, this isn't what I want. Can I change this? And so, it kind of, like, cuts back to, like, what everybody else sees, like, out of his dream. And, like, we see Foxy coming down the hall, and he's doing, like, his little pirate jig. In this dream, in the rest of the dream, like, all the kids are, like, slashing him up, right? Like, they get his arms, they get his legs, they get his chest, and so I assume Vanessa finds him, because, like, that's who, like, he's with next. And they kind of go to this police recovery center, I think that's what it's called. But, like, it has, like, the stretchers for, I guess, wounded police officers. They have, like, supplies, they have, like, weapons, etc., etc. And so, like, Abby's still home with her aunt. And I love this scene so much, okay? So, we see, not exactly withered Freddy, but, like, wounded Freddy, if you know what I mean. Like, it's, like, a different version of Freddy. And, like, one of his eyes is out, and, like, the other is just, like, fluorescent blue. Like, he looks like Sans Undertale. Which is the only way I can explain it. And so he's in the house. He takes out the aunt. She's presumed dead. I hope she is. And so, the kid who represents Freddy's there too. And so, like, he either comes to Abby or Abby comes to him, and she's like, "What about Aunt so and so?" And he's like, "Oh, she's sleeping." And so they get in an Uber or a taxi, and the taxi driver is Corey Kenshin. That's his name. I never watched it, but and so they go to Freddy's, and so while this is happening, Michael and Vanessa are at the police recovery center, and so she's like the guy who's like doing this is William Afton, and we're like, we knew. And she shows a picture of Spring Bonnie and her as like a wee lad, and Michael's like freaking out. He's like, "Why didn't you tell me sooner? They're gonna want Abby. I need my sister." She's like, "I know. Let's go." They eventually make it back, and Abby doesn't realize she's in danger, obviously. So she's like, "We're gonna play. We're going on a little play date." And so Michael goes there in a police car so he can speed legally. The goal here is to find Abby and get out. So, and Vanessa's there too, eventually. So, since the animatronics want Abby, they're like out to get Michael, which makes sense for like the lore of the first game at least. So like Vanessa gives in like different types of tasers, even though those won't like completely disconnect, I guess, the animatronics, they will like temporarily harm them, at least buy some time. I feel like I should mention at this point, Michael knows about like the spring locks, and like how some suits are spring locked, and so he kind of like goes around the pizzeria to try and find Abby, who has went with Chica to a supply closet. It's the same one that was like, oh, not the same one, but a similar one. That was animatronic amendment. That's it. And so Chica tries to like force Abby into, so instead of like a traditional spring lock suit, they have this like thing where it's like a Freddy mask and it's got like razors in it that like spin around and stuff. And that's how like the first security guard like and so Chica tries to put her in that, and Michael's like, "Hey, no." So they get out of there, and Vanessa's there. Whoa. And the last one they have to get is Foxy, right? And so, no wait, I'm thinking of this wrong. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. So, at some point, Abby's trying to hide from Foxy. And first of all, one of the ways that she does this is by going in a ball pit. That's an obvious reference. Like, that's a surface level reference, is what I mean. And okay, no, I'm on the right track. And that's when Vanessa shows up. And so, like, at this point, like, some of the animatronics have, like, started to, like, come back, or, like, come to. And then Vanessa shows up. And she's like, "We gotta get out of here." You'll never guess what happens. The man, the myth, the legend, purple guy, he shows up. He's in the animatronic suit, though. Or not the animatronic suit, the spring lock suit. And so, like, this is obviously where like it's like, I killed your brother. And then so he has this like knife, right? Which I feel like I should mention. I think my lore is a little bit wrong, but I don't think that's how that happened. I don't think that's how he got the kids in the suits, but anyway. So it's like, I'm gonna kill you. I killed your brother. Gonna kill you. And so like at some point he takes off like the head, and it's some guy who I didn't know. But he was like significant, and turns out, and this is what I hate. So, it's mentioned at some point that Michael's last name is Schmidt, right? Which is like what he used to like get jobs, because he couldn't use Afton, because that was like too recognizable, and he'd be denied, for obvious reasons. So instead, Vanessa is, well, I should phrase it like this. William Afton is Vanessa's dad. And I hate that they did that. Because first of all, surface level fans will know that that's wrong. Second of all, even if this is supposed to be like a more standalone movie, I feel like it would be more of a twist if William Afton was Michael's dad. Which he is, first of all. But I feel like it would be more of a twist if, like, his dad killed his brother. Like, I feel like that would be more of a twist than to be like, the person who is helping me's dad is a murderer. Like, that's already an overused trope, I feel like. But anyway, and so animatronics are starting to come too, and Michael's like, you know what, to Abby, he's like, you know what happened, show them. And so like she draws a little picture, she takes off a picture on the wall that's like of Spring Bonnie and then like all the kids of the spirits. She rips that off the wall, she puts on her little picture, which is like a very crude drawing, by the way. Like, I know it's like a kid drew it. Like, it's so funny. And obviously it shows like William killing the kids. And so they're like, oh, you're the bad one. And so like at one point William stabs Vanessa. We'll get into that in a minute. Roxy like kind of goes like that at him with his hook in like one of the exposed areas of the fursuit. And so like blood comes out. And as we know, that triggers the spring locks, and it kind of like starts like going in. And I didn't need to see that much blood. And then he starts like convulsing, and I was, ugh. Oh god, that hurt. And so like the place starts to collapse, which I don't really understand because the animatronics are like standalone, right? Like they're not like hooked up to anything. And like at the beginning they say like there's something in here that makes them like move freely. Although I guess they're like connected to like the entire electricity, because like when the breaker's off, they're off. But anyway, and so like they all get out of there. Then at the end of the movie, you mentioned, I was kind of like known about the spirits like the whole time, because like that's her friends, that's what she calls them. And she apparently like drew a picture of like Garrett being kidnapped, even though she wasn't born at that time, because the spirits told her about it. So I guess like it kind of like there's something in there. What was I gonna say? So at the end of the movie, I was like, will we ever see Freddy again? And Michael's like, we don't know what our future holds, baby girl. And that's the end of the movie. And then they play The Living Tombstones by That's a Freddy song. I love that so much. Me and my friends were all singing it while we were waiting for the end credits scene. But yeah. Things that I wish that were different. I don't really mind that like the cupcake is sentient. I don't even mind that like it got the most. It didn't even get any kills. It's just kind of there to attack. It's there to kill, steal, and destroy. Except kill. I kind of wish there were more jump scares. Like, and I've never seen a horror movie before. This was my first ever horror movie. I feel like I should mention. It wasn't scary enough. Like, it was more like thriller. Like, it was more like, oh, something's gonna happen. Or like, something's happening. They didn't need to go into detail about, well, not really go into detail, but they didn't need to zoom in on the spring locks. I wish there were more references to, like, FNAF 4 and FNAF 2, because, like, this is obviously based off the first game, but, like, there's, like, a scene or two where they reference sister location with, like, the gameplay. At the beginning of the movie, actually, they mentioned FNAF World, of all things, and it was Chica's Magic Rainbow, or Chica's Dream Rainbow, or whatever. But I was like, let's see. They made, like, one reference to FNAF 2, and it was Balloon Boy. Like, there was no mention of Marionette, there was no mention of the toy or withered animatronics. Which, I understand that comes after, but, FNAF 3, no one cares about FNAF 3. FNAF 4, I would have at least expected, like, one of the little Fredbear plushes, or just any plush of one of the, characters, or, like, when they show, like, scenes of the house, and they could have had, like, a little hallway, that, like, leads to the rooms, and then there'd be, like, a chair there, and that'd be a reference to FNAF 4, like, one of the little mini games. I feel like that would have been cool. Let's see. FNAF 5, I kind of mentioned. They show, like, not really a more realistic version, but, like, a more, I guess, medieval, like, Cirque du Soleil version of Baby. So, and it's, like, a mask, more like, than, like, the whatever. And, like, she has spring locks, which I thought was interesting, because, you know, the lore of the game. So she's, like, higher technology, and, like, she has that little insert for, like, the ice cream cone, and then, like, the Scooby thing. Which would make sense why she has spring locks, because then, first of all, get the child in there. Second of all, there's probably somewhere in there where liquids are being thrown around, spring locks. I thought it would have been funny if they made, like, a bonbon reference. Like, even just had, like, a little puppet, in, like, the, in the room, in the security room. The layout was, like, kind of different than it is in the games, which, like, I kind of understand why they did that, because it's kind of hard to rationalize, like, a double-doored security room. I also kind of wish they made, like, more references to It's Me. They did one, but, like, or even, like one of those Easter egg, I don't know what they're called. Like, one of the Easter egg, like, little panels in the security thing in the first game. Like, if all the animatronics were, like, looking at the camera. I thought that would have been cool. That's 6, so security breach. Oh, I feel like I should mention. At the end of the movie, Vanessa is, like, in the hospital, obviously. She suffered a stab wound. And so, I was talking to my friends after the movie, and they were like, that's probably how, like, she gets infected, instead of, like, a VR headset. which makes sense because why a VR headset? Why a VR headset? Speaking of VR, I kind of wish they made a reference to FNAF VR, where like they fix up the animatronics. I thought that would have been cool. It could have been more references to FNAF World, I feel like, although there's not really a lot of things to reference. Like the Space Freddy minigame. I don't know what it's called. Let's see, security breach. There's not really anything I should say about security breach. I just said VR. Ultimate Custom Night wouldn't really make sense. I feel like. I've never read the books. I haven't even read the graphic novels. I have one, but I haven't read it. But like, you know what I mean. I don't know why they changed the names of the kids and kept Micheal. Which I already said. I don't know why they don't explain a lot of things. That's pretty much it. Cause like I already kind of said most of what I wanted to while I was going through it. But yeah, that's my main stuff. Scott Cawthon was working on this film. Like he's one of the main guys. One of the main people working on it. And yet there are so many things wrong. Although I feel like that's kind of in character because he doesn't know what he's doing. He does not know what he's doing. Like each game could be a standalone game. Because of like all the different stories that like I'm sure Matt Pat stayed up multiple nights trying to figure out what all of the lore meant. There's a short end credit scene. It was Balloon Boy. That's what it was. So Corey Kenshin, the cab driver, he gets like a knock on the door, and like he's asleep. He wakes up and Balloon Boy's there, and I thought that was so funny. At the end of the credits, we couldn't really hear it because people were talking, but they did like the letter thing that they do in FNAF 2, where they like spell out letters. I cannot begin to imagine what it was. I'd have to look it up to be like, this is what this says. See, there was one thing that I like just remembered. Anyway, it'll come to me eventually. I don't know if they're gonna make a seventh film, because like when I was explaining this all to my dad, he was like, that means that if this movie makes enough, they're gonna make another one, which is like understandable. The next one better have Markiplier. Like it better have like the main YouTubers who like played the game. So like Markiplier, I think Jacksepticeye played it. Dan TDM, I would love that for him. I can't think of other ones off the top of my head. They do make a second one. I assume it's gonna be based off the second movie. I don't know how they're gonna like explain the toy and the wither animatronics though. That is to say, if they're making like one movie for each thing, like if they're making one movie per game, which I feel like would make the most sense. Like they're doing with like the Sonic movie franchise, where like each film they're getting like a certain number of Chaos Emeralds. So like the first movie was just like setup, and then the second movie they find the Master Emerald, and then that gets broken. Sonic inherits the Chaos Emeralds, and then they all like disperse, and then they're like, oh, we gotta go find them. And then I don't know how they're gonna like, you know, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, if this does become a franchise, this was just the setup. It could have been a much better setup. It could have been more lore accurate, but that goes with like a lot of things. Scott Cawthon, I hate you. I saw that Danny Gonzalez was like a producer. I really hope that's like the Danny Gonzalez with like 14 million subscribers. I would love that for him. That wouldn't really make sense though, because I don't think he played the game. Unless it was on streams. I don't watch streams. But if that is actual Danny Gonzalez, I would love that. I think that's it. I've been recording for an hour. I still have to get up early tomorrow. So yeah, watch it if you want. Be prepared to get angry. My consensus on this movie is like my dad's consensus on the Percy Jackson movies. Entertaining, not accurate. Because it was very entertaining. It was very funny. I had a good time. It was an excuse for me and my friends to hang out in costume. Even though that I was the only one who really like, I took it this far. Blue Frog. They were Chica, and they had like this yellow sweater with like little colored bits in there. My other two friends forgot. Well, one of them forgot. One of them didn't have a costume, and then one of them like had a brown shirt, but it was just eggshell. I hate you, Temix. But yeah. If you like care about the lore, you're gonna get mad at this film. If you don't, you're not. Like I said, entertaining but not accurate. I think that's it. If I have anything else to say, I'll just put it in post. So, bye-bye. I'll see you in the next one. I want to rock out on a beat.